I recently saw a shot of Hugh Jackman in the original X-Men movie. Didn't have a shirt on, and it looked quite different from what we saw in the most recent 2024 version of Wolverine in Deadpool and Wolverine. So let's go back and take a look at how Hugh Jackman's physique has changed over the years and how the superhero physique, really, especially of Wolverine, has morphed over the last 24 years. So starting out here in the original X-Men, we see Wolverine. He's in the cage. This is where we're first introduced to the character. This guy is fighting him, thinks he's all big, and we don't really see him much except here. He looks like pretty muscular. You see he's got the chest there. You can't see a whole lot because there's shadows and stuff here. You think, well, he's in pretty good shape. I remember seeing this and be like, dang, he's big. I want to be like that. I was 12 at the time when this movie came out. So see there, I mean, that's pretty much probably what most guys would want to look like. Similar to Brad Pitt in Fight Club, the physique everyone wants, except he's not as lean here, but similar amount of muscle here. He's not huge, like his arms don't look crazy or anything, but decent sized chest. You see the start of some abs there. But later on in the movie, when he's in the X-Men house, sorry, I haven't watched these in a long time, I forget what they're all called, but here he comes running out trying to figure out where he is, and this is the scene I saw right here that I was like, whoa, that looks way different. So you see here, he does not look anything like the most recent Wolverine. He actually looks, by bodybuilding or fitness standards, kind of thick, or maybe even fat, some might dare to say. But, you know, his arms aren't huge. See a little bit of shoulder definition. He has chest muscles there, just like we saw in the previous scene. But here, abs definitely aren't defined at all. Very soft in the obliques area. But this is coming back in 2000 at a time where, I mean, what else was there? Spider-Man came out a couple years later. Tobey Maguire looked pretty cut in that. But I guess it was just Batman. Let me know down in the comments what other superhero movies were out at the time that you can think of. But I remember Batman, we had like Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, Val Kilmer, George Clooney. Neither of them were jacked. I mean, I guess Val Kilmer kind of was. He was pretty muscular in Top Gun, but that was way before that. So, you know, the huge physiques weren't really a focus at this point. So we see him there, then we move on to X-Men 2. This was in 2003, and we don't really see any shirtless scenes of him here, but I mean, he looks pretty much the same in this wife beater. I mean, look, we've got some veins in the shoulders here, tricep definition, so maybe with knowing these roles are coming up, he started working out a little bit sooner, because I saw interviews where he said, I just thought it took 3 weeks to get in shape, and he was kind of embarrassed when they had to do the shirt off scene, and they ended up doing it 4 months later in the film, so he had extra time to get in shape, but still didn't get quite there. And he even said in interviews before that he thought it was, you know, just pumping iron, didn't realize how much diet was involved, which we'll see comes into play later on. So probably pretty similar physique here. This is another shot from the movie. He's just hanging out in the shirt. Arms aren't huge or anything like that. I mean, from that angle, he looks kind of thick, which is sad to say because that's based on bodybuilding standards of now and everyone looking way different. So, you know, we see some veins here in the arms. He's not crazy lean, but, you know, typical in-shape guy. Looks like he goes to the gym. So move on to X-Men 3. This is 2006. So we're 6 years into the series here. He's moving up. I always wonder, like, how come the pants always stay on? We've got Hulk, we've got him. Everything's coming off except the pants. I don't know. Kind of interesting there. So he's coming up here. We can't see because there's all the CGI involved, but really the physique doesn't look much different at all. He doesn't look way bigger. He might be a tiny bit leaner here. Let's see. But yeah, here, so like, not really much of a difference. We can't see the ab definition. His arms maybe look a tiny bit more defined, but really no big noticeable change from what we saw in the previous two movies. So then we move on to X-Men Origins Wolverine. So this was in 2009. So this is where they're going to be pumping the, what's it called, adamantium into his body. So we can see here, his chest looks a bit more defined. He's laying down on his back. You can see some more ab definition here. So he probably started getting the diet in tune a little bit more now. This is another 3 years later. But as he's laying here, you know, when you're relaxed, you don't see much going on. But as he pops up out of the water here, obviously probably pumped up. We got this scene of him. Veins are popping like crazy in the arms, a whole lot more. This is probably closer to the 10 to 12% range of body fat, I guess. There's not a whole lot of shots. They're kind of go by really quick. We don't see, but just from those views, the abs showing more when he was laying down and that. Definitely got leaner for this one. Not necessarily a whole lot bigger, but definitely leaner. And we'll see how much that plays a difference later on, because you don't have to get crazy big for your muscles to show. The leaner you get, the bigger you'll actually look if you do have a muscular base. So then next up in 2011, we have X-Men First Class, but he just had a cameo here. No shirt off or anything. He was only in the movie for a few seconds. So chances are he's probably looked a lot like what the very first movie was, because he didn't need to take his shirt off. He doesn't need to look lean or anything like that. So probably just showed up on set, did the scene, then took off. But then we move on to the Wolverine. This is 2013, and this is where stuff really starts to change. So we can see here, he looks like he's probably 7-8% body fat here. We have a very defined chest. You can see veins in the chest and arm as he's relaxed. Obviously, he probably pumped up before this, so it's not like he's just woke up in the morning and has veins everywhere. But still, when he's just relaxed, you can see the veins through the chest. And when you can start seeing veins crossing your chest, you're getting pretty lean, especially if you start seeing them come up your abs. And then here, when he's chopping wood, look at his arm. Like, that is pretty crazy. Like, he's got some thick veins here. So definitely leaner for this role, way more than he's been for any other role. But if you notice, his arms don't look real huge or anything like that. He's just more lean, but everything looks way more defined because of that leanness. So moving on, we've got a scene here where he's fighting a guy. Again, how we talked about the abs coming up the veins. We got the veins coming up the abs here, massive veins in the arms. Big difference there. And also 2013, what was different then? We started having, I think it was 2011, Captain America and Thor, those first two movies came out, and they started kind of setting the standard of what the superhero physique looked like. So now, 2 years later, we've got Wolverine coming back into it, and he's starting to change, looking more like what those Marvel characters were. I guess he is technically a Marvel character. All the Fox Marvel stuff. I don't know how that all works, but this is where he's starting to morph as well. So again, you see the oblique sticking out, flexing, but you notice his arm really doesn't look crazy big. Take a look at that and compare it to here. Like, he's obviously gained muscle. It's been, what, 10 years, and he's probably worked out more each time he's done this role. But his arms aren't really crazy different. They're about the same size, but with less fat on them. So again, just to show, it doesn't take a whole lot of muscle in order to look big, but the leaner you are, the more that muscle sticks out. For example, like here, 173 pounds versus 192 pounds. I was 173 pounds in June of 2023 last year, and this was right the day before a bodybuilding show. Depleted, glycogen depleted, water depleted, carb depleted, all that stuff. So I was more like 176, 177 in my normal physique. But then if I wasn't water depleted and all that stuff, and then you compare that to 6 months later, 192 pounds, and I actually look smaller in the 192 pound one because I look less muscular because there's more fat on me. I'm actually stronger. Like, this was right after a powerlifting meet. I set new PRs there, stronger than I'd ever been, but I don't really look as muscular because I have the extra fat on me. So just being leaner will make you look a whole lot more muscular. And as you get leaner, it'll make your veins pop out like crazy. So we saw how his veins were sticking out there. Like, this was the night after a bodybuilding show. I carbed up a bunch afterwards, went out to eat, and got in the shower to get my tan off. So I was really hot from the shower along with all the extra carbs. This isn't even pumped up. This is literally just getting out of the shower, and bicep veins are crazy. You got veins going across the chest, up the abs, all that. So when you get super lean, it makes you look a whole lot different. As you can see here, you know, he's got those big veins sticking out of the chest, veins going up the abs, and then again here. So same thing. You see how massive these veins are going through the chest, just like here. If you're super lean and you pump up and you get some carbs in there after you've been water depleted. He talked about how he'd drink a ton of water just like for a peak week, all the way up to like a day and a half before the shoot, and then quit drinking water. You pee it all out, you're super dehydrated, you get pumped up, you eat some dry carbs, it'll make you look crazy. But you don't want to try to look like this all the time because it's not sustainable and it is not healthy to be that dehydrated. So then, this is where we get into what I would say is the peak Wolverine physique in Days of Future Past 2014, where he goes back into his younger body. You can see just standing there again. Obviously, you know, they're pumped up, but look, Again, his arm doesn't look huge from the side. His shoulder's pretty big, but you got veins going all up the side of his arm, going across his chest. And as we turn, lighting plays a huge role in how you look. Like you see how he's standing at an angle to the window, so it's coming across him. You see these crazy veins going up. I mean, he's probably like 7% or less here, maybe 6, like close to being bodybuilding stage ready if he had more muscle, because you wouldn't do that well being this small in the bodybuilding realm. You see, just standing there again, you got veins coming all through the chest. His chest is very prominent, got the abs there, and this is what the scene everyone pulls up from comparing him to the old physique. So again, tensing everything, veins sticking out even more. I mean, you really bear down, veins coming out of your neck, out of your arms, your chest, everything makes a huge difference. This again is 2014, so 14 years into it, he finally figured out how to do the diet, how to do the training. Saw an interview where he talked about how he really wanted to change the way Wolverine looked and really make him look like he was just a beast and crazy. So he doubled his workout volume and he really focused on diet. And diet, he said in multiple interviews too, the way you look 70% of the diet, he used to think it was just pumping up, just working out, but the diet is really going to control how you look. So you get big muscles from working out, you get lean and shredded from the way you eat, from your diet. So keep that in mind. Just getting bigger and bigger isn't going to make you look better. You got to get rid of the fat if you have too much to see your muscles. But then it starts to go downhill from there. So we move from that to X-Men Apocalypse in 2016, where he has a smaller role. So he probably didn't get into as good a shape for this. Not saying he's in bad shape, but we see him here. The ab definition isn't anywhere near the same. His chest looks smaller because, once again, remember, like the picture of me, when there's more body fat, your chest doesn't stick out as much from your abdomen because there's some fat there that smooths the lines. You can see that going on here. He's still got the veins going through the arms, and you can see his abs, but they're not anywhere near as defined as they were before. So I'm guessing here he's probably more in like the 10 to 12% body fat range compared to that last movie where he's like 7% or below likely. And again here, we can see as he pulls this off, the chest isn't sticking out really far compared to everything else, and his lower abs are sticking out as compared to what we see here. Everything is completely flat and his abs are looking quite defined, as well as obliques. Like, you don't see really any oblique action here going on, and he's not flexing. Your obliques don't show a ton without flexing, but when you're super lean, you're still going to see them some. And then we move on to 2017 and we have Logan. So here he doesn't look anywhere near that muscular. Again, he's laying down, he's got this prosthetic stuff or makeup, whatever you call it, on him. So you're not going to see his muscles there, but his chest isn't as prominent. He's still got the big veins there, so I think he's pretty lean here. He's probably back down in the 8% range from just hanging out and all his veins are sticking out that much. But it looks like for this role, he probably didn't put on as much size, maybe didn't do as many drugs for it, because hey, we all know these guys aren't natural, right? You could get to a physique his size being natural, but it's very unlikely that these guys are, because you'll see they do a roll, then they gain some weight back, not work out as much, and then get back into working out again, get really lean, but they gain muscle as they're getting super lean, which isn't the way things normally happen. You get that lean, you're probably going to lose muscle. And we see here again, this shot, I haven't actually seen this one, but we can see the veins going through his chest there. He's pretty lean, just not as big as he was in the previous ones. And I guess this is the other version of him. Arms look decently big right there, but for all we know, that could be CGI as well. And you see those veins sticking out in the arm, chest area again. He's got some massive veins on that side of his body. But I found these pictures that they took for this. So once again, you see he looks pretty shredded. He's got the veins in there, but like here, his obliques aren't popping as much as they were in that Days of Future Past movie. I mean, obviously he's still in great shape, but just comparing everything. And the guy's getting older too, so each time he's doing, he's having to push what he's doing further and further. It's hard to get lean, it's hard to stay on track. Granted, it's probably a lot better when you do have a whole team, someone training you constantly, someone making your meals for you to make sure you have what you need and stay on track. So that would be nice to have, but not all of us can afford that. And then finally, we have the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. So the final scene here, he kicked it up a notch again. He was definitely way more jacked and shredded here than he was in Logan. So here you see again, like, veins popping out everywhere. Once again, that is just a fact of how lean you are. So you see his arm there, massive veins coming out of the arms, just looking crazy. Again, it's a factor of being lean. We pull up that shot again. Look how massive the veins are in my arms just because I was super lean here. And when you're that lean, not only do you hardly have any fat under your skin, but you also, when you dehydrate like this, there's no water there, so it's just like your skin is shrink wrapped over your muscles and your veins, so your veins stick out like crazy. Especially once you pump them up, you get warmed up, it's gonna look pretty wild. Granted, there's definitely CGI involved in this too, because I mean, obviously, you know, your body's not gonna glow and turn red like that. So CGI is involved. Who knows how much they did? Let me know in the comments. Do you think this physique here is like totally CGI'd? How much did they edit him? How much of it's him? He doesn't look way different from the previous movies. So, I mean, he is quite a bit older. Like, we're talking 2024 versus 2014 when that Days of Future Past, what I was calling the peak Wolverine physique. So he's 10 years older. It's going to be harder to maintain that muscle. Granted, you push the drugs, they can do a lot for you. Just look at The Rock. He's pretty large, but, you know, even with, what's his name? Thor, Chris Hemsworth, he was pretty large in the last Thor movie and way bigger than his very first Thor movie. So that's, again, like a 10-year difference. And he got huge for that last one. And there's behind-the-scenes footage showing him pretty big. But there was probably CGI involved as well for the final footage. So we get him walking out here at the end. You can see it doesn't look as crazy when he's just standing there not flexing. You still got the veins coming through and everything. He's oiled up. But his arms don't look huge. You know, once you flex, everything looks bigger because your muscles are sticking out. But if you get the right angle, your arm like might look huge, or if you get it turned just the right way, like, oh, my arm's small now. So when you're on camera, you're moving around, times are gonna look small, sometimes they're not. And that's just how it goes. And you gotta remember, when you see shots of guys looking big, crazy, huge, what you see on Instagram and all that, it's people almost always pumped up at the gym. All the veins are popping, all the muscles are. They got just the right angle, just the right lights to make them look good. And that's the only time of day they look like that. Because then when you leave the gym after an hour, your veins are back down a smaller size. You're not pumped up anymore. You look normal. You're deflated. And if people saw you who in real life you see online, they might not think anything special of you. So don't worry about what other people think. You know, obviously, don't try to look like him. He doesn't even try to look like him, because every time he's done with the role, he goes back to being thicker and being normal and probably not working out anywhere near as much. The guy's over in his mid-50s now, so hopefully that's the last time he does it, because it's definitely not healthy, and pushing those drugs, getting super dehydrated, doing all that is not good for you. So don't do drugs, don't do steroids, but let me know what you thought of the timeline of Wolverine, seeing him from the very beginning of what would now be considered fat and bodybuilding standards to the craziness that he is now. Do you think he was CGI'd? What all do you think's involved with it? Because when I see training clips of him too, like, it's just, it doesn't look like anything special. Like, I saw a video of him doing a pull-up and clapping his hands and go back down. So it's like you're swinging yourself up using momentum, not even really trying to focus on the muscles you want. They were doing lunges and passing a dumbbell under his leg each time he lunged. Like, it's kind of like when I see people doing exercises where it's like they get 5-pound weight or 10-pound weights, do a lunge, stand up and do a curl, do a lunge and do a curl. If I'm doing lunges with weights that I can curl, then I'm probably not getting the most out of my lunges. If I'm doing enough weight to get something out of my lunges, I'm not going to be able to curl that weight. So just focus on one exercise at a time. Don't try to do something fancy or anything. Focus on the muscles, flex them, unflex them, get good contractions on your reps, focus on the muscle you want to hit. I have lots of live videos I've been doing to show you guys how I work out, how I train, my programming, everything involved, lots of Q&A stuff during the workout, so you can check that out too. But that's about it for this one. Let me know if there's any other superheroes, action stars you want me to go over, and I'll see y'all in the next one.